assessor here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You are
Nabila.
Nabila?
Nabila.
Nabila.
Yep.
Can you spell that for me?
N-A-B-I-H-A. Nabila.
Okay, great.
Sorry, what was your name?
Mary.
Mary.
Nice to see you're taking over for Brittany. And good luck with that. There's lots of craziness here.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I'm a assessor, so I don't have to. Yeah, so I guess I can't manage everybody else. So. Anyway, nice to meet you, and do you remember meeting Alice? There's here. You're the photographer tonight too, huh?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Hey Dan. How are you doing? Good. When I get my daughter in the car out there, so windy. I said, how do you get the car go over? I park like this, and the wind is coming here. Put my foot on it.
And you park in the right spot, because if you park the other one where the wind catches it.
Oh, that's true. It wasn't even blown up.
Then the car next to you.
True.
Bangs your car.
Good.
Oh. Yeah. It's hard to get back up when you're old like. Oh, shit. I get this new puppy. Oh my God, I see a little shit.
I didn't get yourself an LS for.
Because I need the company.
Okay. Then it's worth
He
it.
is definitely company. Oh my God.
How you doing, huh? Hey, John, fine.
Yeah, it is.
Happy New Year. Thank you. Happy New Year. It's still pretty new. It is still. Not bad, but pretty new. Yeah.
What?
Whatever.
There he is.
Exactly.
Hey, Shan.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
There you go. Man down the line.
Hello. You too. How you doing? It's getting better. Good. Yeah. How are you,
Bring that to the Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good to see you.
Gotta be careful.
I know, yeah, that's very careful, but yes.
No sharp movement.
Yeah, no, sure.
Don't make the top doesn't stay.
No, and they run up.
Then they all, oh,
Defect badge. Yeah.
Jim gave me one of his company things. This thing rates, it rates as good as my gun.
Stay around so they keep track of it.
Very functional.
You don't even know what you're sure. Feel free. Yeah, that's.
You know, the same thing happened to me, happened to you.
You did what?
Yeah, I was cleaning my gutters during the rainstorm up there. And I've come down the ladder and I had a broken lung on it.
That broke away.
Yeah, and I landed on the concrete sidewalk.
Oh, geez.
I got a metal rod in my arm.
Oh, I was luckier than you. I just broke ribs and something on my back that's supposed to all heal. So I'm thankful. I came down this okay.
It's all carpeted now.
Yeah.
Yeah, rip the gutters off.
I didn't think we were going to get a cold weather, but I really think we're in for snow. I think it's all going to come at once. I really think we're going to get a lot of snow this year. Service is worth food. That's great.
Yeah, that's well, first of all, stuff was sitting on me, I didn't look at my,
That's much better. I tried to call it.
Thank you. Okay. Am I going to jail? No. Thanks.
I'm not gonna be able to stay for the whole meeting.
Hi. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I understand.
Happy New Year, Jamie.
I didn't know if you were looking at it on the website, the updated sheet. The packet on the website has been updated. But if you printed it out before I posted it, I didn't yet.
Expensive to
Are
write.
you doing it off the website?
No, that's perfect. Just there for your information if you want it.
Also, that's the one I'm gonna use.
Oh, no, this one's right. I have on the
So, what am I supposed to say?
That's just FYI. Like if you had some before I
That's the
updated.
one we're gonna sign today. Okay. Once you take that, so then you
So it doesn't confuse you. Gotcha.
Mike? You're down to one crutch.
Get down to the point. Right.
Better than candy. Happy New Year.
Actually, I think
We did church as a game.
but I
I understand that. So we're late to the office for a day. Bring it back. Okay, 7 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got a pen? Clerk, if you can do the roll call, please.
Supervisor Adams?
Present.
Trustees Anderson,
Here.
Rakestraw, Wojciechowski, Weir,
Here.
all present.
Okay, thank you. Public comments are our first thing. Give me 1 second. All right.
I didn't sign it.
Okay,
Just put me on there.
okay. First person on public comment is Mike Cole. Remember, you're limited to 3 minutes.
Mike Dollar, Wonder Lake. I'd like to start today off with a little bit of a somber announcement from Julian Thomas, who has given many public comments, very passionate public comments in favor of the bus service, has passed. Funeral service for Julie will be on Saturday, January 18th, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Colonial Funeral Home. That's at 519 Ridgeview Drive in Mchenry. Everyone is welcome. On to the topic of today. I see that we've got a configuration of the board table and who is at the board table. Discussion and possible action. Am I right to draw this to the parallel of the discussion at the previous meetings where individuals don't want Mr. Condon or Ms. Mahady at the table and don't believe that they belong there, because they're not members of the board itself, even though they're part of this township and elected official? If so, that is a very petty maneuver to waste time here with that. And lastly, I'd like to end on a positive note with the upcoming weather that we're expecting this weekend. I am very, very grateful for the existence of our township road district, and I have full faith in Mr. Condon and his crew to be able to handle this 100%. Thank you.
Next, I have Linda Toller.
Gentlemen, good evening. I would like to start off by apologizing. I am sorry it took someone calling you heartless for you to actually listen. I'm sorry that you feel respect is something you are entitled to. I'm sorry that this board is so blinded by their own desires they forget why they're here. If you want us to stop seeing you as heartless, stop attacking the most vulnerable among us. If you want us to respect you, do something worthy of our respect. Stop this pointless war about the buses. Anyone can see if we went so far as to call a special meeting to transfer funds to keep it going, that we don't want it gone. We don't care about the $7 or $8 it costs us. Find some other way to cut our taxes if that's what you're so concerned about. And before you even think it, we don't want the township abolished either. We don't want to lose all the services it provides. Look elsewhere. It's not going to be easy, but it shouldn't be. In conclusion, I am sorry. I am sorry that your choices and your attitudes have lost you the faith and the respect of your constituents. I am sorry that you either can't or won't understand that. And I'm sorry that you'll take this as an insult and not as a desperate plea for you to do what you were elected for and uphold the desires of the citizens. Even those of you appointed there without our say are bound by that purpose, a fact you seem to ignore. I am sorry, gentlemen, and I do hope you have a good evening, even at the cost that it may not be for everyone else in this room and watching at home.
Next, Dennis Razor.
Take the blade.
Take the blade, okay.
Dennis Razor, Wonder Lake. I came up here, I wanted to thank everybody for the bus service. It was very nice. I took it for my first time. I usually bother my kids to take me to doctors and things, but I decided to just, I'm able to be more on my own now, and I took the bus, and what a pleasant experience. No hassle whatsoever. They came to my door, picked me up, dropped me off, came back and picked me up a little later. Now what I wanted to talk about is unexpected expenses and our $7 or $8. It's so important here. I'm on pension and Social Security. My increase was about $60. That was my raise. Unexpected insurance, so forth, $94.50. I updated. They had to up my policy due to my condition. Cable TV, $30. Illinois license plates, $50. And now my $59 raise at 1.6% has cost me $150 the way I look at it. And I just started this list here the first of this year. And I just wanted you guys to know. Now, Mchenry County charges $116 on my taxes. The school, District 36, $623, $156, $370, right around. Mchenry Township, $53. Man, what a bargain. And we're quibbling about $7, $8. We gotta grow up here, man, and realize what's going on. This is just the start of my year. What's happening to everybody else? You don't worry about that. Maybe we should go back a time to when just about all this started about 30 years ago with Albie Adams, and that when all this township stuff started. And we've had some great people working here. Our highway commissioners, comments, and I wanted to say something else about, you want to have somebody else do this and take over these duties, but you can't, anybody, you guys have lived here long enough, you know an awful lot. Go down 120 on any snowstorm and see where the county is. You're not going to find them. Wonder Lake. Well, Wonder Lake is Wonder Lake. It takes them several hours to get out, but they eventually get there. These guys are on the ball, and you guys are making a big mistake here.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Dorothea King.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dorothea King. I live in McHenry. Tonight's McHenry Township agenda item B under new business reads, the configuration of the board table and whom is at this board table. This is an important item. Here's why. At the last hurriedly called McHenry Township meeting, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on December 20th, we electors were told we were disrespectful at these meetings. I challenge this accusation. I am hoping this board will vote to arrange board seating that will allow the other trustees and people at the table to see the really disrespectful behavior of Trustee Steve Veer, who grimaces, smirks, glares, ignores, mocks, ridicules, and in all so many other ways is truly disrespectful.
Amen.
His is the behavior we, the electors, see with the present table arrangement. Hopefully, a new arrangement will allow all present to view his behavior. Lastly, I want to honor Julianne Thomas, a fierce light, a warrior, a champion for all our rights. I will never forget her. I am heartbroken that she has died. She spoke so passionately at this podium for the needs of people in Mchenry Township. Many of us feel very honored to have known her.
Next I have Judith Gatlin.
My name is Judith Gottlieb. I live at 2814 Regner Road in Mchenry, unincorporated. Those of you who think that you're being overtaxed in this township, I invite you to move elsewhere, because those of us who are here really like the services we get and think we're getting a good deal for our money. So if you think you're being overcharged, please leave.
Robert Beltran. Robert Beltran, Mchenry Township. Following on what Judith said about leaving, the point is that we in Mchenry Township have over the years and through our elected board chosen to have the level of services that we want. This is what we desire. So, yes, if you want to live in a community like our community is, with the services we have, please stay. And if you don't want to pay for those services, there are other townships where you get fewer services and you presumably pay less. So, there's a whole world out there you can go to. With regard to the shape of the table, when I first heard that at the last meeting, what immediately came to my mind is, are we doing a Vietnam-style negotiation sort of thing where we can spend, months or maybe years arguing about the shape of our table? Actually, it seems to me it's rather presumptuous of the board to assume that they have any control over that anyway, because I would think, in my simple reading of the law, and the way that administration of offices and duties works, that would be entirely within the purview of the township supervisor to make that kind of a determination. And the board would have very little to say about it. And then there was a letter to the editor that appeared in the newspaper today, describing the insured value of all of the physical assets of the township, and trying to project a really big number. I did some simple math, and I came up with a number of $220 per person in the township that is invested in these physical assets. And that's not $220 per year. That's $220 over the lifetime of the construction and possession of these assets. So somehow I don't feel like there's too much of a burden for me to have this $220 asset sitting here that is available to me, not just this year, but every year. It's not a continuing cost. Yeah, there's continuing cost to maintain it, but this is the physical assets we all have available to us at a bargain rate. I mean, that's 2 nights at a motel, folks.
Cheap motel.
Next I have Mary Mahady.
Mary Mahady, Mchenry Township. Most of my comments tonight are specifically directed to trustees Anderson, Rakestra, and Verder. So I want to start by reminding everyone of a few of the actions that have been taken by this board since they've been in office. You have sent a letter to the state legislature, requesting that they make a law so that a person can't hold two elected offices. Unless, of course, you're Mr. Anderson, who does this by being on two elected boards. You voted to eliminate the bus service, for those that are most in need in our township, when the cost is less than 9% a year per township parcel. All this after several hours of residents getting up and sharing their personal stories of how harmful that action would be. I am still waiting for the people who say agree with you about ending the bus service to show up in support. You've changed one of the township official holidays from the generic spring holiday to Good Friday because apparently you don't believe in separation of church and state, at least not separation of your religion and the state. Desiring to start offering an invocation before all meetings, only to withdraw that motion once you realize that someone from another religion, other than yours, might have the opportunity to get up and speak. If it's not the religion you practice, then you don't think it's legitimate. You're constantly talking about saving the township money when you hold countless unnecessary special meetings that require you and the township attorney to be paid, not exactly being fiscally responsible. Cutting of elected officials' salaries and benefits far in advance of the next election to discourage anyone from wanting to hold these positions, or in the case of the assessor, preventing anyone from taking the steps to get certified to even run for the position. And then we have board members that do the following. Mr. Rakestra complains that people are rude to him and have no respect. I have news for you. You have to earn respect. Your constituents have every right to call you, yell at you, whatever they want to say to you. Welcome to public service. If you can't take it, you should resign. Mr. Anderson, writing letters to the editor every 15 days or so, giving his viewpoints that he refuses to share at the open meetings when asked why he votes a certain way, saying, we don't have to answer, it's public comment. You often talk about nepotism in the township. I'm not aware of any here, but you don't have to prove that in a letter to the editor. You can say whatever you want. And cronyism, which is quite comical, since this board filled a vacancy on the board with their friend and fellow former candidate refusing to have a fair and open interview process, which is the definition of cronyism. Mr. Verder, calling constituents names like leftists and Marxists only because they have the gall to disagree and voice their opinions to you, their elected officials. The actions I've mentioned already and the behaviors you've exhibited since you have been in office.
Please finish up.
Just one more thing. When you get to the new business item B, you don't have to.
Well, what is this? We get 4 minutes now? She gets extra time?
Out of order, Mr. Bird.
I'm out of order.
You're out of order.
You're supposed to preside over this and keep
Mr. Ver,
keep
she
the
has
time.
it's 3 minutes, she has one little thing to say.
Thank you. When you get to new business item B, you don't have to include me in that discussion because apparently you haven't noticed, but I have not been sitting at that table for many months. Let me be clear, I will not sit at the table. I am proud to be a public servant and I work hard to make things better here. I am tied to you as an elected official in this township, but I refuse to do anything that might indicate support for your desire to destroy the township and all the good that is done here. I will gladly continue to sit with the people of the township.
Next, I have Jamie Rouse.
Jamie Rouse, Mchenry. Good evening, Mchenry Township. This evening, I wanted to talk about community. A community is best defined as a group of people who, regardless of the diversity of their backgrounds, have been able to accept and transcend their differences, enabling them to communicate effectively and openly and to work towards common goals identified as being for the common good. The reason I wanted to talk about community is because I feel like our township community has evolved over the course of the last few months. We definitely have a diverse group of people here in Mchenry Township. It is important to remember that those attending these meetings are only a small sampling of that group, and I am sure some people don't feel represented by what they see and hear at these meetings. But the key part of that definition I mentioned is the ability to look past those differences and behave like responsible adults for the common good. But what is the common good? For me, it's for myself and all of my neighbors to have a safe and happy life. I know I am incredibly blessed, but how can I appreciate that if I turn a blind eye to those less fortunate than me? Yes, there are only a few required services the township must perform, but why can't we go the extra mile for our neighbors that need help? I don't have the time or resources to help them all, but our combined community does. That is what the township helps us to do. What about this board? What do you think the common good is? Is it just to lower taxes for people blessed enough to have a home? What about everything else? Have they forgotten that what they do to the least of his people, they do unto him? I feel it needs to be said that we are here, meeting after meeting, fighting for our community. When members seek to divide us using the us versus them argument, they are actively destroying that community. Republicans versus Democrats, the board versus the angry mob. They use labels like cowards, leftists, extremists, and Marxists. So much anger and hate behind their words. And we all have been guilty of this at some level. However, it appears to me that my vision for our community is the one held by the majority of Mchenry Township residents, and I hope they prove it by voting on March 17th to save Mchenry Township. Board members, if you don't want to be a part of that kind of community, I respectfully ask for you to resign. I also want to point out about the board meeting, the board table. I was the one that recommended to Mary many months ago that she didn't have to sit up there because I've been on boards for other organizations as well, and we feel like adults, and we realize that we can sit wherever we want. But if you want to have an actual agenda item about assigned seating like we had on the bus going to school or in first grade classrooms, that totally makes sense for this board. But we please stick to what's important here, the people of our community. Thank you.
And last, I have Jim Conlon on the sheet.
Half-Truths by Barbara Bob Anderson. You're at it again. Here we are, once again, reading about half-truths peddled by the barber from Wonder Lake. In your editorial published today, you mentioned Mchenry Township has over $11.6 million in deluxe buildings, facilities, etc., paid for on the backs of the McHenry Township taxpayers. I assume you make these claims based on the township's insurance policy, insuring the facilities for the replacement value. However, as with most shady, self-promoting politicians, you leave out important facts. For example, the food pantry you referenced for a value of $345,000 only costs the township a fraction of that because of donations from private individuals and businesses like myself, quite frankly. The referenced snow shelter, valued at $92,000, cost the township nowhere near that insured value because of the resourcefulness of the township staff in acquiring grants and from local snowmobile clubs making donations to construct it. And the list goes on. Thanks to the significant donations of time, talent, and treasure from companies like Thalen Construction, Smith Engineering, now HR Green, and others, we have a beautiful park for all to enjoy at a cost much less than claimed by you, Barbara Bob. Half-Truth Barbara Bob Anderson, you, then continue in your rants regarding things like patronage and cronyism. Perhaps, Mr. Anderson, someone needs to remind you the only reason why you are a trustee is because of a backroom deal to steal the Republican name in the last election by avoiding a primary. Probably a comment for another day. Does it take a while to explain it for all of you to understand it? It's a pretty shady deal. In addition, who could deny your cronyism in appointing Mr. Steve Verb, perhaps the most unqualified obstructionist ever to hold the office of Township Trustee? In closing, I can only hope the good Lord provides a resolution to the poor choice of action that you've all taken here. God bless America. God bless the greatest country in the world. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes public comment. That concludes public comment that I have here. All right, we're going to move on. The approval of the minutes from the December 12th, 2019 board meeting is in your packet.
I have some questions and somewhat confused about new business C, when we were talking about paid health care coverage for elected officials and family members. And the board discussed putting on the next agenda. I thought we took some type of a vote on that. Am I wrong on that? I was just confused. When I read that in the minutes, I was confused. I thought that we did something other than what was in the minutes. Maybe Mr. Militello, you can go back in time of how that went about that. And I do know it wasn't on the agenda today, so I'm very confused about how that was written and exactly what really happened at that part of the meeting. Can anybody help me out?
Somehow,
If I may, it was my motion.
Mr. Ver asked to put it on the agenda. Oh, it was your motion at this meeting, at the 12th? Okay.
And a roll call vote was taken.
Okay. So
once again, the minutes don't reflect what actually happened.
The clerk, if that is the fact, will change those minutes to reflect the roll call vote.
So we'll table the minutes.
No, we won't table it. If we will say that he will change that, if that's the fact. Is there anything else wrong with them before we?
I felt like we took a vote on it.
We did.
Okay. So then the minutes just show.
No, wait a minute. Oh, to put it on the agenda, you mean? Is that what we're saying? You took a vote to put it on the agenda. No, you voted on this at the special meeting. And you did vote on it.
Yes.
But that was not these minutes, that was the special meeting, which was later.
Well, this was the 20th.
That was the 20th.
Ah, then I got them mixed up on that.
Okay, and you did vote on that, yes. We don't have those minutes tonight, they'll be here next month.
Well, there was something in today's minutes that I read that was in there.
Because, there's two sets of minutes. There's these minutes, this was the meeting I was at, just got hurt and I was not at, okay?
Yes.
I think you chaired the meeting.
I did.
Okay. You did not vote that night on that,
No.
on taking it away or whatever.
No, that was at the special meeting.
That was at the special meeting, and you did definitely go to the special meeting to do so. And that will be reflected in the special meeting minutes, which we don't have yet.
Well, I don't have my computer here right now, but I read this part of what I got here in today's minutes.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand.
There's something in today's minutes about the paid health coverage for elected officials, family members. There's something in the minutes from today, unless I'm somehow I missed it. No.
Use the
I took, these are my notes.
Use
off
your
of-
mics, please.
It's the December 12th minutes.
These are the December 12th minutes, not the special meeting that you had December 20th or something like that.
But I read that today, what was sent to me, yesterday.
But December 20th was never sent to you, that's what I'm telling you, because we don't have them yet.
My notes that I took here came off of what was sent to me in today's minutes.
No, so you're saying what? I guess I still.
What I'm saying is, the notes I've taken here about this issue was on the minutes I read for this meeting tonight. There was nothing I read about the special minutes. I read it, what was sent to me.
I guess guess we'll have to go back, how about this, we'll table them, we'll go back through the tape, and see if you indeed did.
I don't have my computer here, but all I
But
know is I took my notes off of what was sent to me.
I don't think you did that night. On the December 12th meeting.
But if we did, then why was it in the minutes I read today? Though?
It's not in
For
the
the
minutes.
12th. Huh? Well, I read that something on my computer today.
Bob, I
Maybe
search what
maybe
you,
you can-
could you read what you were reading?
What, it's new business, okay, it said paid, it was about paid health coverage, elected officials and family members. It said no action was taken, a roll call vote was none. But then it said the board discussed putting it on the next agenda. That's what I read.
And then it
Yeah,
says,
it's right.
Correct.
That's on
That's
this.
C.
and that said
Right.
no action at that meeting was taken.
There was no action taken at that meeting.
So if you
It
look
was
at the
taken at the
C.
December 20th meeting.
Yes.
Okay, then, okay.
That's so,
Okay,
Did that make sense?
now it makes sense, okay, that's
okay,
okay.
that's what,
This is
So
what
then
you-
that will be on,
That'll be on the next set of minutes that we'll have at the next month, that will show that you took action,
got it.
okay?
Okay, very good. Thank you.
okay, is there anything
Anything else in here? Anything else in here, Deb?
If none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Anderson to approve the minutes. I'll second that motion. Let's have a roll call vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? None being heard, all ayes. Okay, motion for approval of receipts and bills for the town fund. And I want to make a statement about this before we talk about this. The packet that was originally on our website, the cover sheet had different numbers in it than the actual expenses were, but the actual expenses were correct underneath on all those pages that were in there. So we realized that, and we made the numbers correspond with the expenses, okay? So it will be different from the website.
No, the website has been updated.
Oh, the website also has been updated too, with the correct.
Craig, we're supposed to review the executive session minutes.
Mike, you need to use your mic.
Sorry, Mike, not at this time. We'll do that in executive session if we need to.
Can you repeat what he's asked then, please?
He was asking we review executive session minutes, not, I don't have any to review right now, so. Plus, we would do that in executive session. Anyway. I will be taking that off the agenda there for the future. So I'll be adding it down further. Anyways.
We're
so
back to the town fund?
We're back to the bills for the town fund, receipts and bills.
We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 9th day of January 2020 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payments of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $13,180.28. Total bills paid prior to audit, $53,686.45. Total be approved, $66,866.73. Total receipts, $10,148.89. I move to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the town fund.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Anderson to accept the receipts and pay the bills of the town fund. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. Let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Majewski?
Yes.
Mr. Veer?
Yes.
Thank you. All yeses on that. All right. Now we're going to move on to motion for approval of receipts and bills for the General Road and Bridge Fund.
Reading, undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees certify that we have on this 9th day of January 2020 examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and thereby authorized payments of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $3,639. Total bills to be approved, $81,224.63. Total bills paid prior to audit, $18,856.33. Total to be approved, $103,719.96. Total receipts, $33,739.99. I make a motion that we accept the receipts and pay the bills for the general road and bridge fund.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ringstra to accept the receipts and pay the bills of the general road fund. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Wojciechowski.
Any discussion
We can have discussion now, yes.
regarding the prime bill for the attorneys? $6,000. Am I to take that Nunda Township got a similar bill?
You'd have to talk to Mr. Conlon about that, I don't know.
I can't speak for another township, but I can only assume that since we are splitting the cost of the legal fees for the lawsuit, yes.
So, you're making this.
No, that would be the half. That amount is split between half.
So then all the times are doubled, and then half of it was covered by Nunda Township.
Whatever that is, it's half for each.
Right, I know you split it, and there's a certain cap, but
The answer is yes.
why didn't, are you gonna have control over this board?
Mr. Beer,
It doesn't.
Mr. Beer, please, just, if you have something to say, say it. Let's not go there.
What I'm merely asking is,
Whatever
and I
the-
appreciate the discount.
Whatever the invoice is, it's half of that.
Okay, now I have a question.
Then it should be 3,000.
That's correct, that's what it is.
Well, here's what he's talking.
Correct, half is for this township, half is for the
Okay.
So each township pays 3,000 on that?
That's correct.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
That's correct.
That's the only question I have.
Okay.
So the road district commissioner was wrong.
Right, I am.
Well,
Not the first time, and it won't be the last time.
we're not always 100% right. We try to do the best we can.
And neither am I.
Okay.
And I
I'm just trying
apologize.
to get it.
Our billing department sends that out, so I don't know if they made that clear on that statement or not, so we do apologize for that.
We need to take a look at that, because
I'll
I'm not,
take that adjustment.
we'll make the adjustment, okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Beer, for pointing that out.
Thank you also from the road district. Appreciate it.
All right, any further discussion on the receipts and bills for the general road and bridge fund? Okay, we had a first and a second, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
And Mr. Adams, yes. All yeses, thank you. Motion for approval of receipts and bills for the permanent hard road fund.
Permanent Hard Road Fund. Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $342.30. Total bills paid prior to audit, $13,526.50. Total to be approved, $13,868.80. Total receipts, $1,674.53. I make a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Wojciechowski to accept the receipts and pay the bills of the permanent hard road fund. I will second that. Any discussion? None being heard, let's take a roll call vote. Adams, aye. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Okay, all yeses. Thank you, John.
Who was second on that?
Stan second.
Adams.
Supervisor.
I second it. I second it. All right, moving on to, we don't need to do any fund transfers yet at this time. We have 2 items on our new business for tonight. Discussion of the amount charged for the bus service and who is eligible to ride.
Well, the reason why I brought this up for discussion is twofold, of course. I feel, let's go for the second one first and the first one last. The eligibility for those people to ride. I think that this board is setting ourselves up for a lawsuit when we ask for half of the people in this township to pay for something that they cannot receive. So I would make a motion that we make it eligible for anybody in this township to use the service, but with the requirement that they must register with the township before asking for a ride.
The bus service was, I understand your concern, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. But what I'm saying, it has been set up for disabled and seniors, and I believe that's how the electors asked us to continue to run it through the end of March. I guess I would have to refer to Mr. Montel to ask if that's correct or not.
The board did terminate the services. You do have in place a resolution where the electors have asked that the existing service be continued as is. If the board wants to adopt a new policy and new services, it's within the discretion of the board to do that. However, we have an existing resolution that's going to expire come March 1st, 2020. I don't know that you plan on doing anything beyond that, and if you do, then I would suggest having discussions regarding those policies and rates if you decide to do that.
Yeah, Mr. Richter, I understand what you're trying to tell me, and I don't necessarily disagree. You would like everybody to be able to ride. They'd have to register like everybody else. I guess that would be, from what I'm hearing here, we could do that at a later time if the bus service either continues. I don't know if it necessarily is going to. So.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we do that.
Well, continue the discussion, if I may.
Okay, more discussion.
I had asked for something to be put on the agenda several days in advance, and this isn't what it was. I alighted on one of the buses recently that was stopped. And instead of a fare box, there's actually a sign that said donation box. So now that we aren't receiving any more federal funds, that required people that could not pay to ride free without any kind of qualification. Is that still the policy of the township, that people don't have to pay?
Most people do pay, but if someone cannot afford to pay, we do not require them to do so. And that's the way the bus has always been run, and that's the way the electors asked us to continue to run the bus that way.
Well, the McRide program is getting federal funds too, and there is no non-payment. Everyone must pay. So I had asked at the time what actually requires us, and I was told that, well, there's federal law about that.
That was true, but the electors asked us to continue to run the bus service as is. So that's what we're.
But this is way in advance of the electors voting in there. Special.
But you didn't. We didn't talk. We did talk about that.
Okay, so now we're talking about it now. Okay.
No.
As far as I'm concerned, the bus should be at least at parity with the McRide County duplicate bus service.
Yeah, you canceled the service, so and the electors overrode that and told us to run it as is.
But we're still writing the policies, okay?
You can't write a policy for what the electors told us to do. You can write policies in the future.
I beg to differ with that. We can always set new policies up.
with how the bus is being done. And I think Mr. Militello will agree with that.
Mr. Miltello?
The board, the resolution from the electors that passed said that they continue, let me find it, specifically says that the money be set aside, that the transfer of this money is for the purpose of continuing the McHenry County bus service through March 31st of 2020. The supervisor, as the chief executive officer, has certain responsibilities to follow through and make sure that monies that are received and monies that are paid out are paid for those things that have been delegated for. And in this particular case, this resolution has put you in a position to perform and to follow this resolution. So as the supervisor has to continue the bus program until March 31st, 2020 as is with the funds that have been set aside. Now, if this board would like to adopt a new policy and adopt new rates and adopt a bus program, the board can do that. However, I would probably recommend that you have a committee and discuss how you want that to look and what it's going to look like. But the existing program that you had has expired, and the program that the electorate's asked to continue is within the guise now of the supervisor who's running it through for the next 65 days or whatever that is.
Well, the supervisor has done all kinds of things on his own unilaterally, such as getting rid of the Sunday service and increasing the costs. Okay.
That was before the electors came and told me to run. That was all before this, okay?
Well, the board is still running the township.
You are running the township, but I don't believe you're running the bus service right now.
Well, you don't carve out certain projects and services that are beyond the power of the board.
Steve, I don't know what to tell you. It's the lawyer's telling us that. You can set policies after March 31st.
Well, we can set policies at any time.
You can set policies, but I'm not going to follow them because I was told to run it as is.
Well, this sets up a real problem if you're not going to follow the board's policies.
I'm not, because I don't believe I need to in this case, Steve. Otherwise, I would follow your policy.
This is completely contradictory to the Torma book itself. It says the board always has the ability to set the policies of all the programs.
If I remember right, we decided to stop the Sunday bus service, and that was during one of the budget.
That was, I did that during the budget meeting to try
and the purpose of that was to try to cut the cost of the bus service. Correct. And to save it.
That was the purpose.
Right.
And that was why I raised fares also to help increase.
Absolutely. Right.
We're not talking about the continuation or discontinuation of the bus service. We're talking about how much the township is going to be charging for it. Okay? And on that issue, the board does have the ability to change the policy. Of course they do. Otherwise,
if you have a program, you voted away the program. You abolished the program. Okay?
And it's being illegally kept going.
Okay, Mr. Bear, I'm not going to go on with this conversation. If you believe that's the case, please file suit in court and we'll work it out there.
You're the one who filed all the suit.
I haven't filed any suits, Mr. Bear.
Yeah, you did.
What suit did I file?
You filed a suit to pull off the referendum.
What are you talking about?
When you're the plaintiff and the defendant in a suit. Okay.
That was, yes, I did once. Yes, I did.
All right, so let's come back to reality.
Again, I'm going to refer to the attorney on this matter. This is beyond my capability.
Then we're going to have to need this to be researched and reviewed because.
All right, let's do that. Let's the attorney research and review it and come back with an opinion. I'm all for that. Is that okay with you, Mr. Realto? Okay. Then we will bring this up after he researches it and brings it back to us.
Well, I'd like to have put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, well, it's not the time to bring that up, let's bring it up under agenda items, and we can at that time, okay? New agenda items. I understand, just bring it back up at that time. It's on the agenda here somewhere.
Or perhaps at a special meeting.
Sure, why not?
All right, we're gonna move past that, and we'll put that under agenda items when we get to proposed agenda items.
So we did not vote on whether to extend the service to other people?
Not at this point in time until we get a legal opinion, because there's a disagreement here. Here's the true fact of it, Heather. I'm not against that, but you have to understand there's only so much capacity, so it's first come, first serve. You may call in as a regular person to get a ride, may not be available. It happens on McBride also. So. All right, let's move on. The configuration of the board table and whom is at this board table. Discussion.
I guess
We need a motion. We need a motion? Let's discuss.
I'll provide the motion. A motion to have the board itself, and the board consists of the clerk, the trustees, and the supervisor at the table. This is what's done in the vast majority of townships, certainly with what's going on in Algonquin Township, Nunda Township, and Grafton Township.
Okay.
We've had an erosion of responsibility here by the board not asserting itself as its rightful place in the township structure. So these cat calls and uninvited comments that have been made by the...
Mr. Anderson, please. What is your motion, Steve, so we can second it?
A motion to confine the board table to the 5 members of the board. There's 6 members of the board.
So I'll second it for discussion.
And the attorney gets to stay at the table.
Because it goes without saying.
Okay, just bring it up. Okay, we have, so that's Mr. Steve Veer's motion. Do we have a second to his motion?
I second it.
Seconded by Bob. Is there any further discussion on this? So, as I'm understanding, okay, I've got the motion understood, okay. It would be just the trustees, myself, the clerk, and obviously our township attorney.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can I sit in the back?
No, you can't. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Let's have a vote on this. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams? No. Mr. Wojcicki?
No.
Mr. Veer?
Yes.
All right, that will be done at the next meeting. Old business, I don't know that we have any.
We've got a lot.
Okay, what would that be?
Where is this storm official? When is he going to come?
I will hopefully get them here at the next meeting, but we've got an opinion from them saying that we're covered, and we got an email to that effect, I believe.
Well, maybe it would be helpful to provide this to the trustees.
To provide what to the trustees, I'm sorry?
All these communications are getting.
We did provide them.
It was in the packet.
It was in the packet, Steve, you got it. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Miltel emailed it to you.
It was in my bag.
Or I don't know where it was, it was included somewhere.
Yeah, but as Mr. Militello advised, there are all kinds of questions that weren't answered.
All right, I will see if, I will try my darndest to get a Toronto representative here at our next February meeting.
Have they provided us with the renewal package yet?
They have not. Those don't come until maybe February.
Will you send that to all the trustees too? The packet?
Did I?
Could you?
I'm sure. Be happy to.
In fact, Torma says that the board has to review it. They recommend it. So we would like it.
Sure, no problem. We will send you the packet when it becomes available.
Regarding the website of the township, are the trustees going to be allowed to put things on it? Post?
No.
May I ask why not?
What would you want to post? It's, the only thing it is information on there. And
Oh, no.
what?
The assessor posts all kinds of stuff, the clerk posts stuff, the trustees would like to post some things on it.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
We're talking about the cost of, there shouldn't actually be any extra costs. Each trustee could have a certain number of pages, just like the other elected officials do. I don't know what the problem is. They do it in every other township. Okay, take a look at Avon Township.
All right, well, I guess we can consider that, but let's put that on the agenda for the next meeting when we get there. That's not old business, Steve. You're out of order.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. We never talked about that before.
I brought it up before.
No, you didn't.
What date?
You never did. That's not old business, so we're not going to consider it there. If you want to consider it on a new agenda item, we can do that.
Yes.
Well, we're not there yet, okay? Any other old business that you want to bring up? Yeah,
Yes, I do.
okay?
Was there any kind of reply to the letters I sent out from the, from Representative?
I've gotten no replies. I don't know.
To me, the one?
I don't know. No, and I don't know if any of you have. You signed it, so.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing came to this office.
And then is there any kind of an update from Urban Analytics?
I'm going to give you that in my supervisor's report. Yes, there's an update.
Okay, thank you. And then, this is kind of old business, might have to go into executive session though. I'd just like to have an update of the lawsuit that was supposed to be heard on Christmas Eve. Will we have to go into executive session for that, or can we get that from the attorney now?
That's a matter of public record, isn't it, attorney? So.
Yeah, I can comment regarding the public comment.
Well, but there'll be other questions that aren't. So I'd say we should go into executive session and talk about that with everything else.
If I could be recognized,
Yes, you may, Mr. Condon.
the lawsuit doesn't involve this board. There'll be no discussion of it here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Condon. All right.
Does that mean it's not going to executive session?
No, we're going.
We can't comment on what would go to executive session.
You know, we can certainly go to executive session and we'll let the attorney evaluate this.
But the attorney for the road district representing us in the lawsuit will not be making any comments on the lawsuit.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Anything else, Mr. Anderson?
That's all I have, thank you.
I have. I guess Steve. Or I mean, Mike, sorry.
This started, I think, at the beginning of last year. We were talking about putting together a group of people who use the baseball fields and coming up with a committee that would determine how we could possibly put signs out in the outfield to raise money. Nothing has ever been done.
Mike, you're absolutely right about that, and I did ask Mr. Militello to review the statutes to see if we can legally do that. I think it just fell off our radar. I'm sure he will be happy to do that, wouldn't you? We were not sure that we can sell advertising as a government.
Well, we talked about having a committee set up of a couple of representatives from our board and a group of people from the baseball field.
Oh, okay.
And doing something like that, so it doesn't require any kind of.
Oh, I thought you meant, well, we were talking about some advertising too, remember?
Yeah, right, and.
So you'd like to set up a committee?
I want this done because, this is the time to do it right now.
Sure.
Sure. So let's get this thing done and get it rolling and take some relief for the taxpayers.
That's fine. We'll set up a committee of baseball people, and I assume you'd like to serve on that since it's your interest.
Yes.
Okay. We'll get to that. All right. Anything else? All right, now, proposed agenda items for next meeting.
Do you want to see if she was on there?
Wait, no, we gotta go back, we're gonna propose them right now. And we're gonna put the same bus question back on, is what you'd like, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's have do we have a second? Is that a motion, Mr. Anderson?
Well, I think that was Steve, wasn't it?
I think it was
It was
Steve's.
Steve's, and I
So-
just seconded it.
So you're seconding it, so we just need to have a roll call vote to make sure the majority of the board wants to revisit that. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, no. Mr. Wojcicki?
No.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Okay, so that will be on the next, and hopefully the lawyer will have an opinion by that time. He will have, I'm sure. Any other agenda items for next meeting?
Possibly, can we get started on the workshop, budget workshop?
We can, and I was gonna talk to you about that, tonight. We'd like to start the last week in January, that's the same
Is this
thing?
in part of your report?
This will be part of my report.
I can wait for that.
Okay.
Yes, another item, if I may.
Sure.
The number of townships in the state, off the top of my head, Plainfield Township up in Will County, St. Clair Township in St. Clair County, and O'Fallon Township in St. Clair County. Because of the inaction of their county boards, their respective county boards have voted on a resolution declaring that the full township borders is a sanctuary for gun owners from the numerous gun control bills plaguing the freedom and security of the people. So, I would actually want on the agenda the adoption of the Plainfield Township, Illinois resolution for Mchenry Township.
And you can provide that resolution to me so I can?
Yes.
Okay.
I can provide it to you.
Okay. And the resolution is asking for what, Steve? To allow guns, or what?
I believe I read a précis of it. In Plainfield Township,
Okay.
Illinois, a resolution declaring the full township borders as a sanctuary for gun owners from the numerous gun control bills plaguing the freedom and security of the people.
Okay, so you would like, okay. Okay, Mr. Beer has proposed that. Is there a second to that?
I second that.
Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. Let's have a roll call vote on that. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, I will vote yes on this. Mr. Wojcicki?
No.
Okay, Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Yes.
Okay?
I think we need to go over the ethic ordinance. I see people sitting on the audience with the t-shirts on that says, vote no against the upcoming referendum. If that is the case, then I can sit here as a trustee, or I guess I couldn't do that because this is my official business. I could do it in the barber shop. However, this is in public property though, so I think there's a question of why they should be able to come into taxpayer property for promoting a vote no on a ballot initiative.
Well, the ethic ordinance only applies to elected officials.
But what about the general public coming into this? Mr. Militello, is that?
Mr. Militello will
Can they do
advise
that?
us on that.
We'll be happy to take a look at it, but the ethic ordinance is designed for elected officials, appointed officials, and other public body individuals. If you, as an elected official, whether you're sitting here as a board member or sitting in the audience, in your elected official capacity was wearing something like that, that would be a problem. Like the general citizen, they can do what they want.
They can do what they want.
First Amendment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so then we don't need that on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, sending the board packets out more than 2 days, 5 days a week, like other government bodies do.
Steve, we could send out most of it, but we can't send out the financials because we cannot get them done until...
All right, well then, what you can do.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. You'd like to receive 5 days ahead. You want it, well, that's an agenda item you're asking for.
Well, everything but the financials, your reports and so on.
Okay, well, that's an agenda item you're asking for. So, do we have a second to that?
Could I add something?
Yes.
When I was on the school board in Mchenry, we always got our board packets on Friday, say 4 o'clock or so. We had the entire weekend and Monday and Tuesday to review it. So at least being able to give us 4 days would be a very nice thing to do.
Okay, can we say 4 days instead of 5 then?
Well, I think you get it to us by Friday.
Friday before?
Yeah.
But just so you know, the financials will not be.
I understand.
Okay, well, let's put that on the next agenda item then. Just have a vote on that. We have a second to that? You were seconding it? Mr. Anderson, would you like that on the next agenda?
Yes.
Mr. Rickstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, I'll vote yes on that, no problem. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Beard? Yes. Okay. Anything else?
Can I just ask one
No,
more question?
yes, you may.
I don't want to go just for 1 second regarding that resolution by trustee Beer. I think I just found it. Was it the resolution 1901 that was done by Plainfield regarding that resolution of the declaration? I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the right one. So
If that was the one that was adopted on
okay.
the 9th of April, 2019.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
So Mr. Militello has the resolution, Mr. Rear, so you don't need to send it to me. All right, anything else?
Can I get a copy of that resolution?
Yes.
I would like everybody to have copies. Send it out to everyone.
One more thing, please.
Yes.
The rental facility up in Johnsburg has all the work, windows been replaced, and
The work is complete.
It's complete.
It's complete.
And everything in the baseball field is also complete.
No, they're still working on the drainage issue because it hasn't frozen hard enough for them to do that, but they will get that done. I'm assuming one day, in one of these winter months, they'll get cold. And I don't want to mislead you, there is one thing left to be done on the Whispering Hills. All the pavers are laid. The windows are all in. These bricks are already bought to put, how do I put this, on the edge of the pavers, like seats. And those haven't been done yet, but all the materials bought, those will be done. But otherwise, everything is.
They normally have to be glued, and I don't think
You're
not going to
glue it the windows. That's exactly why they weren't done yet. But they will take a matter of a day to do once. Okay? But it's all done. Please feel free to take a ride by there. It looks very nice. So. Okay, anything else? Okay, then I'm going to move on to my supervisor's report.
Mr. Adams, can I be recognized for a second?
Mr. Condon, sure.
I was hoping we could move the Highway Commissioner's report up, and if you have any questions, let me know. We've had an issue in the family, and I have family in town, and I would like to leave if anybody doesn't have any questions. I don't mean to be rude, but...
Does anybody have any issues with him moving the Highway Commissioner's report? Okay. If we don't, go ahead.
I do that.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Good night.
So go ahead, Mr. Condon.
Thank you. I provided the written report. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them, but pretty much straightforward. Thank you.
Oh, I thought he was going to give one. He wants to leave. Okay.
So we said you had any questions, and so I said no.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand. Okay. So we'll go back now to my supervisor's report. All my things are in the board packet there. And two things we need to talk about. The urban analytics cost study. We are working with Dr. Bellis, is that how you say his name? This takes a lot of time on our part, okay, which is fine, you know, but we've sent him all kinds of documentation. I think you were copied on most of it, okay? He is coming out here, I don't have the exact date, January 20th or something.
He says the 22nd, end of
For 3
the end of
days.
this month anyway.
End of this month.
22nd to the 24th.
Thank you.
And he's going to do a bunch of interviews and ask questions, et cetera, et cetera. So that's taking a lot of time on our part right now, it really is. And we are fully cooperating, you can ask him. So that brings up the next thing. The budget process, I would like to put off till last week of January, which is the same time we started it last year, because by that time he'll be out of here, and then we can get things moving. That gives you 8-9 weeks to wrap it all up. Okay?
Well, I think we should be given a proposal for the budget, so we can study that.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I think we could get your proposal a week before that, couldn't we, Matt?
That's next week.
That's next week.
That would be next week, because he's coming the 22nd through the 24th.
Okay, guys, let's do it this way.
We could do it.
It'll be difficult though. Let's start the budget project meetings 1 week later in February, and then the last week of January, we'll get you proposed budgets, so you can review them for a week ahead of time. That way urban analytics will be out of here, because we're going to be busy.
Right, they're supposed to be here the 22nd through the 24th.
22nd through the 24th, and I don't know what other information he's going to request from us after he leaves.
Well, she wants to get you the budget to get it in advance.
So the week before is what's
The week before is the 27th of January. We'll get you a proposed budget then, you can study it. And then we'll start the first Monday, well, I'm going to meet on Mondays again, did that work for everybody?
What is the date, the first Monday, what is that date?
February 3rd.
I go on that.
Okay, we will do it that way then.
So we'll get that, we'll get the acceptance a week before that.
You'll get the proposed the week before that.
Good.
And we're doing one meeting a week?
Yes, I would, well, I guess we can discuss that. I don't think it should take us as long as it took us last year. You're more familiar with the process, and I think we could get through it very quickly.
And I agree with that.
Okay, so maybe we can get done with it in 3 or 4 weeks.
I don't know, I think we'll go faster than last year.
I think it will too. I think the maximum we would need is 4 sessions. So. And we need one for each department. Yeah. That would probably work. Okay, that's the plan. Any questions on my supervisor's report?
Yes, can we have a breakdown of, you said tonight that most of the people pay for the bus, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a breakdown of that? Well, how much money is actually taken in?
Sure, I do have. Well, actually, it's on your board report.
Well, then I need Debbie to show me where it is.
It's in the financials and stuff.
All right, so what we're supposed to do is take this total aggregate amount and then divide it by the number of fares or rides or.
You know, in theory that makes sense, and I will be happy to do the math and make sure that we get it correct.
Well, right, because some people buy vouchers.
Some people prepay and buy a voucher book, so it's kind of hard to say.
But here, because the program is separated now, the best way to do it, and this gets you from December 1st. If you look, Elector's Senior Express has already been broken out. Okay, these are all your expenses. I can put in on the top here, Elector's Senior Fares. And it would be totally separate with the new program because that is no longer in there.
Well, it would help some. The problem is we don't know what the percentage of paying people is.
Well, that will give us a percentage in this.
That would give us a percentage.
Percentage.
No, because you've got people that are buying voucher books and may not actually use them.
No, but we can compare them.
Count for them.
We count for
Every
those.
day.
We know which ones were used and weren't used.
So every time we get a voucher book, it is counted. So we know how many come every day.
They're numbered and we keep track of which ones come
Yeah,
back in.
there's a log sheet every day.
There's a log sheet, so we can break that down.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, none being heard. Assessors report.
Well, one final.
I'm sorry?
Are you planning on expanding any programs or initiating any new programs?
Am I planning? No, I am not.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the assessors report.
Is she still here? Okay.
This will be short. Really, we're working on appeals, and that's what we're working on. That's our focus, and it will be till probably the end of February. I'd say March, but probably February. But basically, wanted to. That's about it. I do want to make a comment though. I know my budget is due by statute January 31st. I'll get it as soon as I can. Don't mean not planning on making a lot of changes, but we're in a pretty busy time here, so just letting you know. You can have your meetings early. I'm not sure my budget will be in by the 31st.
Okay, we will, that is true by law, Mary, so if you can't possibly get it done, we will send the budgets we can send prior to that.
So other than that, unless anybody had any questions, that's really all that's going on in the appeal office, in the assessment office. It's the appeal office right now.
How many appeals do you have this year? About
650.
Okay, just curious.
650.
And you have to respond to every one of those?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions of Mary? Okay, none being heard. Thank you, Mary. Mr. Veer, were you calling for an executive session?
Yes.
For what matters?
Legal matters.
Okay, for legal matters. Okay. I need a second to his roll call for his motion.
Second.
Second by Bob. Let's have a roll call vote. Bob?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Craig, yes. Stan?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to executive session. We're recessing this.
May I make a suggestion
Sure.
that you have the public comments or people who go home?
Oh, yeah. Would you rather stay? Would you rather wait for us to come back? Okay. They want to.
I don't think it'll be long.
Yeah, we'll get a pizza. Extra anchovies for Steve.
You can join us.
We're probably over that 5-mile limit for Domino's.
No, that's Jimmy Jeff.
Oh, Jimmy, is that Jimmy Jeff?
And then the attorney gets paid for that. We're paying for that attorney for all the special meetings.
And we're paying Barbara Bob here for all these extra meetings too.
With specific exceptions, but yes, draw a line on it. It's not clear. Sorry, but your federal, state, and county laws don't apply.
You killed it.
It's like rearranging deck chairs on the taxis.
I don't know if they think that because it was federally
I can't see it.
funded. We charged before.
Can't see it.
But they're the ones who took the federal funds away. They refused to allow, they killed the service.
What they're doing is legal.
I'm gonna, you know that word, chutzpah. I'm clear your throat like you say it, chutzpah. And why in the world would they want to make McHenry Township the sanctuary for guns when they want to destroy McHenry Township? Why even bother?
Well, you know what? They just
Oh, yeah. We'll make sure. I don't understand the whole thing about the bus. Because
they're hoping to change their service just enough that they can strike. We got a meeting we did.
The McHenry.
Yeah, I don't think they can change it. They can't just simply.
Why don't we do have it for everybody?
Put it in there. It's not, yeah, it's for us to decide. We can make that decision. Well, obviously,
no, they should not.
if they're doing all this, okay? They eliminated it, now we're going to bring it back in. I didn't say you could. Yeah, I don't understand the reason. I don't trust it. I don't trust the whole process. Maybe just do raffles. That kind of stuff. All raffle tickets. Because the moose here make everything.
my daughter has a coffee cup that says that.
I got one, John found it at Kohl's, it's like a little moose slide, you your desk and it says. I have it at work.
Right, very good.
Outsider.
They're just kind of messing our heads. That's how they're doing.
This is my daughter and her coffee cup.
No, I think no, it's got to do lawsuit.
Right. Oh no, I get it.
They're just playing. Yeah,
It's her company, so she gets it.
they're just playing.
Well, I can see her husband.
I don't know what the word is. They're just kind of junk.
It's a joy. They had 2 stores and they consolidated back to one. It wasn't really negative.
Yes, I know it is. So I know.
Nothing. It's just a green light.
Go there earlier, I guess. I don't know.
I ran out of good ones. You want to add one?
It's what they said about beer inappropriate.
Nothing's inappropriate when you talk about that.
No.
Oh my God, there's just socks. That's catching.
It's been so alarming to me.
Again, I went to social, but I don't know.
And here's the reason it really came to me. The last time Julianne was at a meeting, I don't think you were here. He sneered, jeered, and then as she walked back to the chair, he mocked her and ridiculed her and flat out called her. And I thought,
That's still not Julie.
well, he just made fun of the things she had said when she was there speaking at the podium during her public comment.
We can just get these stickers
And
and
it
put them
was
on our
like,
folders.
oh, that's good. Anybody's especially his behavior the last time she was there.
Here we go. We should get these, put them on our folders and bring some meetings.
So how can we get the guy from Urban Analytics to our meeting? Oh, that's right.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Hi, Val.
Hey, can we put up that with
I was working
How are you? Happy New Year. when they said something about how they're not going to all the religions, because I am all over religions. So am I. They don't want to listen to us later.
So, see, I got into a theology debate with Fear one time, and I brought out the whole thing about when you what you do to the least of some of others, you run to them. And then we brought up give to Caesar what is Caesar, give to God what is God. And he's taxation. So giving to God. And my mom was here committing to Beer and Anderson, because I was getting Rachel about it. They started putting him away. And my mom actually told Beer and Anderson, she's like, I was thinking about moving here to live. I don't want to live here. And they just
Steve Deere is important. Very strong. That is the church of
Arrange for special meetings that we need after lunch.
No, we have to before.
the math part. Yeah, they want to get some money on everything. They want to get everything for free. They want to, so basically they're gaming.
I can always put it up into the blog council.
Right. You may want to change it. Wednesday? You meet on Wednesday.
And then
How do you do the offensive shirt wearer?
The dress code?
You took a picture of us, didn't we? We did, but another was nice.
Sue, why don't you send her a picture that you took of us? Did you let people might be happy?
Yeah. So do you want to get a? Yeah. Do you want a picture of us with sure.
I mean, I can send you one where I've got all of us together.
Sure, that'd be good.
Maybe the one with all of us.
Get closer, get closer, get closer.
Well, actually, if it doesn't turn down the slide.
Yes, yes.
Hold on, let me suck it in.
Suck it in, suck it in. Got it.
You missed somebody who had a shirt here.
You should mention that they can buy it.
There we go, yes.
20.
Bargain rate.
Hey, here's another shirt right here. Standing here, there's another shirt.
Oh, does Mark have one? Oh, yeah, he works
Photograph.
Send her your pictures, I want people. Yeah, she's got pictures, I want people.
Right.
Yeah. Look better. Not that this one, yeah.
I don't
No, I had to come from somewhere, I had to come from somewhere different today. I forgot to store in my car.
We are on the 18th.
I get tasty stuff.
Sure, to get it on the order.
I didn't really come from somewhere. Somewhere. But unfortunately, one of the only days that we didn't send it unless you got straight.
I don't know what Gotcha. Well, I don't know. Interesting happens. Kind of interesting. I think the most interesting thing is going to be the weather. I'm trying to figure
Yeah, it's real fun.
Fair enough. Well. I get to stop in and see my daughter too, so it helps.
We have put that, we've just been directing all the updates to the safety gear. So I would like to be able to put that in. I think he's trying to say they couldn't wear a shirt.
I know.
What's wrong with you, man?
The ladies wearing skirts after you pass the
I didn't know.
Oh, excellent. Bathroom. You're like Elon Musk. That was some bad dancing.
They were thinking more, the lawyer Bobby Flynn from Chicago. Rather than.
I had to do it because from the place.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Billy.
He was exorbitant.
Very good.
And now. One of my favorites.
No, they want to yeah. None of it's necessary. They want to eliminate the counties. That's why I started.
17 now. I used to read about Carol Shelby and those guys back in the old days when I was a kid. I was always fascinated by him. I thought he was like
Because they know we're not gonna.
I remember in high school, working at Steak and Shake.
They know you're there. Get on the board, that way.
This guy pulls up in his class, very
No, I don't.
just beautiful.
Don't believe in themselves.
Working the drive-through.
I had a buddy.
she followed her up the promissory swoopy design.
Supervisor of
Flappers. I've never run a car like that before in my life. He pulls up in my mom's driveway. He says, "You gotta have tried this thing." He pulls up in my mom's driveway and just throws it to the floor. He must have burned about half a block of rubber. And then he says, "No," he says, "That's what he did." And that second car kicks in. Oh, like that. And then just, I'm like this guy. And then he kicks the third car in. And it was just screaming. He must have probably burned through a quarter tank of gas just doing that. Insane. That was the coolest car ever. I don't think I ever had such a thrill as I had in that car.
Okay. I can't understand why the Northwest Herald today, headline this, why are the headlines? Because they're behind. I understand that, it's just that they don't normally headline letters in the and especially
really
a nonsense letter.
How cool. That is cool.
But it has nothing to do with it. Yeah, I know.
Cool.
How many people?
You're like that guy. Want to go, bro? I would imagine so, especially if you lightweight car.
Yeah, we did have big tell late. Although he couldn't figure it out from what she said.
It was a four-door, that old beige color Jam used to use. It was a real plain Jam car, four-door sedan, and she had a 389 in that one. First with the bench seats. Big old hearse coming. It was a rash I started from the guy who originally that's how she was from his dad, and he refused to have anything but a four-speed. So he had a Jeep, he had a average the sound sheet was so funny because I sit there, kind of like lightly revving the engine a little bit of the stoplight, and just drop it in the first one. I feel like, what? Oh, yes.
I don't know what this is. I don't
I need the farmer best way. Is it like,
but physiologically, I don't
know. The fenders are stuck out of the sides? Or is it more of a unibody?
And there are lots of people who are, 40 years. Some people are in their 20s. Yeah, and I decided he was going to drag it. I'm doing the Christmas. Because he didn't break the engine out.
Oh my God. Yeah, back then you really had to do that too.
That was the best flash. Oh, that boom. Nah, I don't think
I wouldn't
that's
buy the breaking. He had an 8-track and it was in a box that people would come stealing, So he'd be driving like this, doing like a bajillion miles an hour on Wisconsin blacktops or like driving up to Majestic. And all the time he's got his hands in the glove box trying to get a new cassette tape stuck in there. He's like, Greg, watch where you're going! Very well.
Well, some people were some
That Z is what I had because that was how my wife got me to quit riding motorcycles. I don't know if I'm steering, but I'll come along for the ride. Yeah, I know.
it's already in the works.
And the supervisor of assessments, and they did this in Lake County, all the assessors did their work, and he said, no, we're taking all of that off, and we're gonna go with this. And so, they did that for 3 years. So, if that happened to me, and I know I do a lot of work every year, I change a lot of things, plus whose work? The assessors. Well, they do what you assessors do. The way you raised in the areas you need to be running.
They did it right, and the supervisor.
And I've had this conversation today too. Not every assessor does a great job. That's why they're elected. People don't, if they're not doing a good job, they should be like, oh my God, but if you are elected to do the job, you should be allowed to do the job. The supervisor, in my opinion, even the statutes say, if the supervisor wants to say, they have to go visit the property. So it says, if the supervisor wants to change the assessment of the property, they have to go visit it, and they have to notify the assessor. I guarantee you, the Lake County supervisor assessors, did not visit every property, didn't care, and felt he was king, and said, we're just gonna do this. So a lot of people, who might have already talked to do it right now.
No, just remind me, because it's like, that's all it is. It's like, the day of the meeting, I'm usually, like I said, running around with my head cut off.
Bill is teaching on when they get overseas, and they're going to work, because all that gets taken off. We work hard because that was taken off. So, yeah, it just creates a whole mess, because the duties are sensitive, the duties of the supervisor assistants office, if you guys had, if you just one township, you think you have a whole staff. Yeah. It's just crazy. It's insane. So, where are you a reporter?
I'm with the Northwest Herald.
Oh, I'm so happy to meet you on board for the committee.
Really nice to meet you.
Thank you. It's like the supervisor assessments, if an assessor's not doing their job, it's up to the supervisor assessments to make sure they get done, but they can also charge that township and say, hey, I sent my people over here, we're charging you, and this was a crazy number. Did well. Yeah, they did this same supervisor of assessments from Southern Illinois who told me, he said, I forget what it was in the cell. All they the were things charging were going on. $150 this person to do the assessments.
So then I started coming.
I know, I was like, that would be millions in my township. If I didn't get a job, and the county was gonna charge, guess what? Wow. Yeah, and I don't know, he didn't know how they came up with that number. It was an easy sale. And I don't know that they get lots, and maybe it's to deter them from doing it, but still. But there was no, I had to come up with a cost for each person, that would be really deep.
And then, decided they would eliminate masks.
Yeah, still, but if you have, I mean, I have 25,000 persons, it's a lot of money. Yeah. And we do have to say something a lot more efficiently, and that's because it's, I mean, I know you understand it. The problem is it's moved all around.
Yeah.
Destroys the system, you have no more right, to say anything about it. Monday and Tuesday, I'm in, at the county all day long, we're hearing this.
I just, it doesn't make any sense.
So my answering phones and doing appeals and doing, people come in, I mean, it's not just like that's the only thing we have to do, it's like, that's what we normally do.
You didn't care about, you tried to destroy. Biggest, nastiest thing is
Or Sundays. Usually,
Bob, your turn to.
when you say slowly, when we're done with appeals, we get to start, cleaning up stuff, things that we just said, we don't have time to do that now. So we have to catch up with that.
And your turn to add,
And then figure
what
out
are you going to do?
areas where we're revaluing. And actually, some of that will happen probably before we even end appeals, because I have to organize that for my field staff. was broadband.
That was when I told Adams at the meeting, I said,
Right, so we, yeah.
talk about some of the worst aspects of human nature.
I'm
noticing that.
I am. Well, it's quiet and the difference is that we have to run a time limit for our budgets. We have to like, you give me 60, I gotta get an answer. As much as I hate it, we have to, you know, I mean, it takes time. Today's a perfect example. I worked on one waterfront appeal for like, because I got interrupted in the phone calls and stuff. So it took me like 5 hours to do this appeal. Now, I needed to, you know, need a lot of attention, but then I did 4 more after that because it didn't take that long. You know, it's like, okay, I could do it quickly, but I can understand it easier. Yeah, there's,
oh, really?
it's very, my newest deputy, everybody gets frustrated.
Oh my God, the reason I said the things I did.
They'll say, well, you told me this before. I'm like, yeah, well, that's in this case, this is what you need to do. It's like,
As she walks back to her chair,
it's like real estate market. It's not black and white. You tell me why these two same homes, one sold for $100,000, they got gold faucets. I don't know.
she was walking back to her chair, and I was here. And I had
better at marketing, better at negotiating. I don't know, but
as she's doing here, I just told you, and told her of her experience.
I mean, there's such extremes.
And how necessary it was. And so I had to get up and say something.
Or you take the waterfront, just where it's located. Or you or else.
Oh, it was very, it was very hard to like to leave.
Oh, they're doing channel front.
Yeah, he usually rents his rate about $2,000-3,000.
We've been having calls, we've been trying to do channel for like 2 years. There's just so many of them. And then, comments to do other things that are channel front properties.
Leftists, paid by Soros.
Yep, paid by Soros. Yeah, so it's back again. Good.
We learned about it on the 6th. Julie, when did Julie die? We have the date yet? We don't know the date yet. Monday we'll learn about it. She died Monday? Monday? Sunday night or Monday. You want Julie? Oh, thank you. I got it.
Next up, happy ending. We might get on here before 9 o'clock.
You okay? Are you open?
Yeah.
It's getting
On your ribs.
the ribs are pretty good. It's my teeth, whatever, retreat-free in my band. But they claim it's okay, but it's probably will take a year.
I've been thinking about
Thank you so much.
before it started. You enjoyed it. Good. Good.
After I was elected, to get my thing reduced $50,000. So you were in that one. You made it. Yeah. All right. Great. Thank
What do you want to go over there? Just turn up the thermostat. It'll just turn up. It probably went down automatically. Turn up to 70 at least.
Okay, we're back from recess. I'd like to reconvene this meeting at 8:52. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting's reconvened. It's time for board member comments. We get 3 minutes. Yes, we have any board member comments tonight?
Well, I'd like to make a comment.
Go right ahead.
Somebody expressed the opinion that Steve Vera is unqualified, and I want to stipulate that he's probably the most overqualified member on this whole board. And if you knew Steve as well as I did, you wouldn't be saying that.
Dan, please do not interrupt Dan.
Oh, okay. He can giggle, but I can't.
You're too loud.
Okay. Any other board member comments?
Yes, I have some comments.
Okay.
I'm appalled by some of the speakers here tonight saying, if you don't like it, get out, resign. If you don't like the tax structure here, just leave, go somewhere else. Nobody apparently in our peanut gallery here cares about the people that are being taxed out of their homes. Taxed out of their homes. So we do represent the common good, and that is the average person who's inundated with the highest taxes in the state of Illinois on a county-wide basis. We're only the 17th highest property tax county in the United States. That's out of 34 or 500 some counties or county equivalents. Something is wrong with the picture. Now, I realize that people like Santa Claus to pay for all kinds of things. It would be really nice to give everybody an ice cream cone every day. But we are at a point, just pretty much like those 17 counties were facing in the 1930s when they got rid of townships in their entirety in Illinois.
Like during the Depression.
We're being taxed to death. Something has to be done. The Senior Express program is a purely duplicative program. It should have been cut once the McBride program came in. So the Mchenry Township taxpayer is paying for the McBride program, also paying for the township program. A whole set of buses, most of which are usually empty. So I stand with the common good, the common taxpayer, who's besieged, belittled. Some people in this audience belittle Bob for being a barber. Things have gone overboard. When you tell people, because we don't like what you do, you've got to resign. This is just like the presidential election in 2016. The swamp has to be drained. And we are draining it. These special interest people that want everybody to pay their freight have got to come to understand there's a backlash. And that's why we were elected in the first place. We were tax revolted, and that's what it is. We're tired of being taxed to death by an entity, the township entity, that entire states have eliminated. We have too many layers of government and too many taxing bodies.
Okay, Steve, your time's up. I'd like to make a board comment now, which I don't normally do. The governor's office just came out with a report on how to lower property taxes. And guess what was number one on the top of that report? Combined school districts have the state pay their 50% share. That will do the biggest thing to reduce property taxes. And it's on the governor's list, and I think we all can agree with it. I'm not against education, but we as individual citizens should not have to pay the majority of education. The state has a responsibility, and they're looking at it. And that's the quickest way, the best way to reduce property taxes. That's 70% of your property taxes. All right, that's my comment. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to take a little bit of my time that I didn't have before. I've been on a school board I understand what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent, because school districts, if you knew how they ran, if you people actually knew how the school boards ran, you'd be picketing the facilities. Because it's just horrible. It's beyond control. But just because we're smaller doesn't mean we shouldn't try to eliminate the waste that we have here. You can't use the excuse that one is so big and we need to reduce it and let's forget about the other. This needs to be done too. We're doing our little bit, and we're trying to show people that if you really work at something, you can make progress towards reducing taxes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Let's move on. Is there any more public comment at this time? Line up and I'll start.
Give me a second.
Dorothea King from Mchenry.
Just give me a second, please. This timer is rather difficult. Okay, go ahead.
Dorothea King from Mchenry. I have two things. I have probably 150 things, but I'll keep it to two. It's understandable to want the packets early. I appreciate your desire for that. I really do. I hope you study them and come prepared. However, I would like to ask that you give us the same kind of consideration and stop calling special meetings 2 days before, in the middle of the afternoon, during holidays. Thank you for that. Number two, I sat here and watched people dickering about a service they killed, refused to accept federal grants for, took all the funding away from, and then they still want to meddle in it? There's a word for that. You'll probably be very proud of it, but I think it's a despicable word. It's called chutzpah, and it means shameless audacity.
Okay, next.
Mike Dollar, Wonder Lake. I'd like to speak as a firearm owner and somebody who signed the petition for the county to go ahead and institute a sanctuary county. At the county level, it makes perfect sense because the county level has a sheriff, and the direction is from the board to the sheriff to not enforce any laws that would infringe upon the Second Amendment. Here at the township level, we have no such law enforcement, even though it is something that we can, according to the township code, have. So unless, Mr. Veer, you want to establish a township police force, I don't see a point to your motion for the sanctuary township. Thank you. Oh, one last thing. Mr. Veer, I highly suggest that you stop using the we when you refer to the board that was elected. You were not elected.
Linda Toller, Wonder Lake. And I would just like to say, gentlemen, that I think you all had a very good night. We did not. I'm tired of hearing you talk about this bus. You killed it, and now you're beating its corpse in front of us. Stop. This is not the way to get us to respect you. And if you want fair play for fair play, Mr. Rakestraw, tell Mr. Beard to stop snickering every time we talk, and then you can talk to Dan about laughing at your comment.
Jamie Rouse Mchenry. I want to start by saying that I appreciate Mr. Rakestraw's attempt to expand the service. That's one of the things that I'm actually talking about. What's good for the community and stuff. I totally understand that, and I'm hoping maybe that spurs something else on. Again, there's millions of things to talk about, but I am going to talk about this freaking argument that keeps coming up about people being taxed out of their homes. Mr. Baird, if you bring as many people into this room that were taxed out of their homes as the people that use that bus service, I will not come to another meeting ever again. and to say something about people being taxed to death when we started this meeting talking about one of our township residents, Julie Thomas, who actually did die. You show me one obituary from someone who died from their taxes, and I will never come to another meeting. You think you have this common good of taxpayers. We're taxpayers. We're telling you that's not our common good. You need to start seeing the entire township.
John Sarf, Mchenry. I had this thing written down. First, I want to say, Mr. Adams, great to see you back, sir.
Thank you.
Great to see you on your feet. And I'm happy Mr. Condon's going to be in charge of the roads for this weekend, because Lord knows where we'd be if we had the county or someone else doing it, because we might be stuck in our homes for another couple of days. So I'm happy they're going to be in charge of that. But I had this whole thing, and I just want to make this real fast. If everyone's so worried about how much money, oh, Mr. Veer, you're actually interested in what I have to say. Wow, I'm shocked, honored. If everyone's so worried about the bus service and making money, I would suggest maybe we should look into having advertisements, Mr. Adams. We should have advertisements on the buses. It's just an idea out the spitball. So, just something to look into.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, Dan.
Dan Elward, Mchenry, Illinois. Mr. Veer, I ran on the campaign of fighting the overtaxed people of this county. We are not overtaxed because of the township. My tax bill is $11,500. Out of that, less than $400 goes to the township. The school takes $9,000. That's where the problem is. Saving somebody $10 a year to get rid of the bus service that helps these poor people that are, some of them are veteran, disabled veteran, and other people that can't walk. They have no transportation. They can't afford a car. They have no way of getting anything. And you take it away from me. And you wonder why I get angry with you? I fought because of the poor people and the elderly people of this county. Not to save $10 a year or even $400. And if it did go away, you really think that I'm going to save a complete $400? No, the county's going to take it over. Do you think that they're going to give any of that money back to any of the people? If you do, you're very naive. I got a bridge that I want to sell you. Thank you.
Okay, that's end of public comment, correct? Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rickstrom. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No nays being heard. Meeting is adjourned at 9:05.
I have to sign Dan, bring your paperwork now. What do you I'll start talking to you. Can I jump in? Okay. Can I jump in? Have your paperwork out. I got it. Pass it down.
Give your presentation to the committee. When we call them out on things like on Sunday and stuff like that, I don't want people to come back on. It doesn't bother me. Do whatever you think.
Why wouldn't you mean? I know, I got one spot here for him.
And we need to start getting them out now.
We're trying to be here. That was for before. Yeah.
That's the last one I gotta sign over.
So, picture, right there.
This one filled, this one has filled out. They're all done? It's the best we've ever done, right there. Hey, we're getting ready to, just do number 9.
I would like to very successful.
I don't know why either. And she's like, I don't like
It's 49 degrees out. My mama stopped me.
We've designed some mailers, but easier way.
Thank you. Bob Anderson does a good enough job with his editorials.
Mostly.
Because he knows it.
We'll get you. I'm pretty sure I could. No, I love the idea. I would have stood up for you. I don't know why you got it.
You don't know how to do it.
No, it was before the meeting started.
Dorley, that's right, on Dorley. My son-in-law set my Facebook account up and he didn't go on. Because my family all. I hope so, unless she's just lying to us about everything. Yeah, poor little girl. She needs time to make dinner. We go eat it tonight. Of course, that was because I took a nap, so.
Sue.
And then they work from home day, so it's dark outside.
Sue comes.
For an attorney, he's got to be the dumbest yes I've ever seen. Seriously? Yeah, we can do that too sometimes.
Or that's my favorite one. I'm really talking to one person. Yeah, I'm really trying to turn it. Yeah. Oh no, Mary's there too. There's no way there. You've been trying to in those times?
I'm here by side for somebody who says the math department's out to get them.
Seriously, there's been lots of documentation. Our recommendation is always go find the facts, do your research. Go find the facts. Yeah. Well, I guess you could just. You don't have to sit at the table. What if you don't want to?
Was Debbie in there?
She was. I saw her go out for a smoke before, and then I haven't seen her.
I hope she took those envelopes, because I'm missing those 3 envelopes.
I can attest that we did not take it. You've got to watch your decision though.
What?
Because you got to watch your decision. He's giving you fuel. It's in though.
Yeah.
No.
I bought 2 of them. I bought one for this suit and one for White's.
Yeah. I really like it. It's pretty good.
I'm gonna give it to you. Because I told him about doing illegal things on things. I told Jim, because when we went into the conversation, we made a comment about something before it started. So
Okay. I was gonna be like,
and I told Jim, I said, you were there, right? You were there when he was making the speech. He does it one more freaking time. He's in India. You gotta get one a lot better than yourself. That should be.
Oh, you know, I could try to get a letter in Northwest Herald, but last time I tried to do it, it didn't make the line day.
mine didn't either. And it wasn't even about this. You ready to go?
Did you hear what I said to you?
Yeah, but he's not going to do
He was talking to him, he said she needs to get the facts. No, to the reporter.
Oh, she does. Nobody should just.
And I said, yeah, get the facts from somebody who's an actor.
Oh, that's what she said.
Yeah.
I didn't even that.
Yeah. And then I said, you know, this friend, he said, oh, let's, he says, facts is Holocaust.
Yeah, so that's a variety of things. Ours is shopping tourists, right?
Shoes and toys. In the schools are trying to take social.
Yes, because you don't.
Yeah. Next thing they're going to say, oh, we want to get rid of name and
And what's funny is you shouldn't draw. We can do that.
Yes, we do a lot of time with third parties or everybody that and stuff like that. And they're always doing, yes, so I don't do that. I mean, I'm so really cool. Like on this first room, go with every, I ordered to the Sweeney, even though
was the way mine, wife record got there and put it in.
yeah.
There are all these reasons we have to make this has to be under the most. We never but then you also always look at the like about 20 and you just want to make sure you go and then people do this, they can then look at if they are So like we'll have to.
It's a senior center. Seniors.
Oh,
It's on senior center. But they could. Yes. Well, one will start, spread the word.
You don't have to.
Like this company, this organization.
Doesn't give us that.
Like so much they were afraid to, we said that people don't
And some people just provide their own sample.
members of the Jewish faith.
Right. So I will tell you that Thursdays are never good for me. That's just us. We don't have plastic. But you're the one who has abscesses, so we can push it and come up with all of the materials. So we'll just put it on the website. Yeah. Now, don't you? That's also like we never know. We say something about like a special.
Her point was on
But we never get the names, we just get the accounts. And then we say, there's, we're giving them one about 20 of us.
Oh, it was in Northwest Carolina. Atheos.com posted it. It was the friend.
And we don't sign our name. We just sign the official.
Or just call the township president. What do we call the Mchenry Township president? I think
Yes.
that's five names.
No, but it was. No, I didn't say it was not.
No,
I would put it on the.
Two meetings ago, I said right in front of him, when he said it ended with March 2nd.
Yeah, I get people who don't want to do it.
Oh, that is my goal is in February.
When I go to every
Why not? They try you.
I do that, I send out a personal letter.
Yeah, Johnny would do that.
So you didn't see,
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, well, here's given 25 postcards an hour, so she might be able to go prep her, so she goes to the junior and she takes 10 postcards an hour.
make sure she gets off the bus.
Well, Mary,
She gets inside.
They should send it to their friends.
So.
They should work off of this, because it's.
I think you should go the wrong way, right down everybody. You know somebody. You're like, hey, I know this person. You're like, oh,
Yeah, well, they appreciate it. Find this. How many?
1,300. That's it?
Well, it's not a duplicate, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, we'll need like 3 times of people to win them.
John, you remember Brent quite a bit.
Yeah. We need to get up here.
Wait, 1,384,000.
But don't you have access to?
Yeah, well, I think very appreciate it. Yeah, I do. But if the 1,300 people, you know, are on our side.
Well,
you're talking about.
that's a good place
Yes,
to start.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, that's right. We don't try to persuade people here. We just try to make sure they have information and vote.
Correct. Exactly.
You got me scared. I was like, wait a second, you only have 1,300 names?
No, I'm kind of with it.
There's like 7,800 people.
Well,
I
1,300.
have every precinct list, okay?
1,300, that's. I mean, I
I
get.
like to just do the precinct list.
I get over 2,000.
Mine is just.
John, got it. I'm done with that bullshit, whatever. Right there. We asked him, some John's like, no, he sent it. Why don't you call him? Why don't you stop using it?
Still very excited about football team. I know, I'm just saying, you know, if I've seen a parade or something.
Here we are, my problem. Yeah. Noisy leftist cravings.
That's right.
You're a bunch of noisy leftist cravings. He's also called a Marxist, or he's conservatist.
That's crazy.
Noisy leftist, you can find it on the video.
Okay.
Crazy dog. December 20th. Yeah. It's huge. Yeah, they called this and just before the regular meeting. And each one of these meetings has one I've never heard of it before. I was like, so.
So friends, the animals for like a week before.
Yes, the meeting was not saying that they have to. And there was no reason. There was no reason. And they've also called special emergency to eliminate all of the county employees. And they can be done in 2021. So they called a special meeting because they can't change what they do. They can't change anything for the organization or for less. So they're changing for the next group. Because they have to wait till 2021.
Bounced around for a little bit.
That's the way my
Just like, all right,
also to vote. Study the buildings. I asked $4,000 shy, but she called me and she like trying to call in my lap and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is good. I got her home. She was like, I had her like, catch her in the house. And then like I would take her outside and she broke away. She ran away. Like for days. And then she'd come back and go into my neighbor's house. Because she liked my neighbor. It was unbelievable. I wanted it. I wanted it. Like never got February 21st. Those studies, they're not a year. And I usually preach them
bigger than we ever should have. She won 5 counties. I'm not joking, she was 5 counties.
They eliminated trustees. Two of them. So now the other thing, we're giving out $40,000.
She looked into everything they have done. She
Public records for the township. Record of the swamp for the county. And we do ourselves and charge $40,000.
5-pound tiny little old cat to a 62-pound ball of energy dog that stands that high.
And we all stood up here and said,
Yeah, well, lapdog, right? He tries to.
He's such a sneaky.
Oh, yeah. Baby Moose the lapdog. Does he ever go to a dog park? Does he go out?
We tried to socialize.
Johnson was.
Yeah, and now we do like the roads.
But he was going to.
So he did things, you know, checking on cars.
Yeah.
Hey, did you look at the minutes of the conversation here?
No! I have for you. The response was that no minutes had heard forget it. So I figured I'd give him another number.
And had heard down on the ground.
Oh, no.
Let go. But as soon as, he got pulled back and then told him to stop, he stopped. Have a safe drive. Safe drive. Take out and she was continuing running quiet. It was just like, no, the human said we're done, so we're done.
Is it Saturday? That big road? Yeah. Her house backside is in the.
Good luck.
I'm going to tell us Saturday night after walk and get that brown butter cake. Oh my gosh, it looked good. I was there and saw something. What is it that you want? Well, this is what John told John. This is one of my passions. This is a national. We're not going to connect with them at all. Something similar. I was. They have a meeting of the committee to just put the emphasis, we have Anderson and Beer, who will say the engineer. Let us be sure they know because of our committee. What day is it? 33 things have to be on the report. There's no basis. And then people together. I would love to read it. We have tons of postcards and tons of some people get really fancy. Some people just do the bare minimum. Whatever. Everybody can interesting, well, that's, so you would never do one of those crazy. No. Because you would think it was. I would think it was, something too easy and too clever. Well, that's why you're making, yeah. Mark finally got me these stuff. Oh, you guys, you're good with me, so why would I want to? You'd be nice, a nice people. That's what he said. Yeah. But they do exactly what I asked. They luckily they think, well, that was too easy. Why would you know? Like, I don't know, because we found out we agreed with you. Yeah, you put it when I agreed with me. I gave you that. Thank you for organizing. Oh yeah. Yes. It's just 3 minutes isn't enough. I know, actually, I made it out like a little bit because, that last paragraph was all I had time to say because Craig saved me.